Good morning, everybody. We're recording this to the cloud, and I'm happy to distribute it to anybody that would like it. I'm Bob Kobeck, the founder and president, CEO of CustomerCount and Mobius Vendor Partners. This is our Bob and Weed podcast series, and today we're really privileged. I am privileged. You may not feel so privileged. I think you will, but to have Rich Paliwoda on the call. And Rich and I have known each other for many years. We've actually done business together. Rich was the big cheese of a very large strategic sourcing operation inside a very large corporation. So what he's going to talk to you about today is not only a bit of a pitch about his hospitality solutions, but also you're going to pick up some real practical information about how you sell into the hospitality industry, if selling into. The other side, the flip side of this is if you're a buyer in the hospitality solutions industry, you'll also pick up some pretty good tips. So I'm glad that Rich took the time, has the time to do this. Rich, I know that in your life, you're a busy guy. You got what, 3 daughters?
Two.
2 daughters. So you live in a house with 3 females.
Yes.
Well, that means you know how to behave yourself. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. I remember the first time I heard that we were at a webinar and you were presenting and you mentioned that you had daughters. I don't know why it surprised me, but it kind of did. But I'm sure they keep you on your toes.
Oh, without a doubt. They teach me a lot as well.
Yeah, well, well, I know one thing. One of your daughters has encouraged you to be running, and so you participated in some 5Ks, right? Because of,
absolutely, yeah. Something as a running track and doing 200 meter dashes in high school. I refused to do cross country, but you do a lot of things for your kids, and including running a 5K.
Hey, when you're fast, you're fast. I mean, there's not much you could do about that. I was one of those really fast kids also. So for me today to take a long walk, it requires some motivation. It just and once I get started, I'm fine. It's started. It's kind of like painting. You hate to get started. You don't mind doing it. So
take that first step. Exactly.
Yeah. And Rich, you're in business too with my with another very close friend of mine. Mm-hmm. Yuri Duncan from Buchanan Solutions. We're both fortunate to be able to work and live alongside Yuri.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you mentioned it, Bob. Our paths have crossed, and grateful for that entire experience. Both Yuri and I came out of that corporate world when we met you. We had incredible, great time there. Learned a lot, achieved a lot, and and then adapted to this new world that we live in.
Yeah, and I don't know that the new world, as we call it today, is going to go away. I mean, I'm not sure that somebody mentioned to me, and the question always comes up, when do you think we'll get back to normal? And I've never really known normal. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life.
No such a thing.
I don't know what that, if somebody could really define that for me, that'd be great. But so far, nobody has. So Rich, let's talk about Inside Hospitality Solutions, because, full disclosure, we're members, Mobius, CustomerCount. We have joined as a partner, and
as a premium partner. So we thank you for that.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate the call out. But so now what we could do is, let's just tell me, what's that mean to me? What does that mean to that supplier?
Sure. So let me just switch over here into tell people a little bit about Inside Hospitality Solutions. So basically, we are a digital marketing platform for all sectors of the hospitality industry. And when Yuri and I left our corporate worlds, we ended up individually starting up our own consulting businesses. Yuri with focusing on marketing, and myself on business development, helping suppliers get their products and services in front of properties. And as the pandemic hit, we started hearing different things from both the supplier side as well as the property side. Properties were, in desperate need of finding new innovative products and solutions to how to deal, with this pandemic. Suppliers were trying to figure out, well, what's the best way to get all this information out to the people who are making the purchasing decisions. So we each started hearing this in our respective businesses. We had been, working on a couple of projects together. And then finally we said, you know what, let's come up with a solution. And that's how we started the whole idea for Inside Hospitality Solutions. It's that forum to bring the buyers and the suppliers together. So when we talk about it, hospitality, one of the things that we wanted to do is take a really broad view of the definition of hospitality. So it's really any type of business that welcomes a guest, because a lot of the products and services that the suppliers typically put into, whether it's a timeshare resort or whether into a hotel, you also need those in other areas as well, such as restaurants, such as managed apartment buildings, such as dormitories and retirement communities and so forth. So we wanted to take that broad view of it to really give the suppliers as much exposure as possible. And then one of the questions that we always ask, well, who are the members? Who are you actually going after? And it's really anyone who influences or makes a purchasing decision. Bob, that, in the past, we did lunch and learn sessions where we actually went out to the field and had people come in. I also did that with a number of hotel owners and so forth. And those were really effective forums to engage people and really to inform and educate them about the supplier offering, so that then when they were ready to make a decision to purchase, they were informed and educated about it and were able to do the right thing. And, for the supplier, it was almost extremely easy to close a sale at that point, because they didn't go in guns blazing with the, trying to make a sale, a hard sale. It was, let's put the consumer first, if you will, and let's inform them and educate them about the value proposition.
So, Rick, one of the things that I noticed about this slide is that I've seen other groups that claim to be, preferred vendor programs and all that. And, there aren't many out there, but the ones that I've seen, when I take a look at them, they're trying to be all things to all people. So for instance, in this slide, they would be incorporating airlines and ocean liners and all forms of hospitality. It seems like you're very focused on that group that prefers to put feet in sheets.
Well, yes, but it's also the former. We are looking at that broad view. Our background definitely is, the feet and sheets and so forth. However, a lot of the suppliers that we've talked to, they are needing to adapt because of the pandemic and are looking at, okay, who else can take advantage of our products and our services? So it's not just, the hotels or the timeshare resorts or the vacation rentals. It is taking a look at all aspects of hospitality, because we think that, really it's all about guest service. And, how do you make sure that that person has an enjoyable experience, whether they're coming in for a few hours into a restaurant, to have a meal, or they're spending a day or a few days with you in a hotel, a week or more at your timeshare or fractional, or if you're in, for example, the managed apartments are a big thing now, as well as managed apartments for students at schools. So all of these they're an extension of that. And that's why we talk about, we're really going after all sectors of the hospitality industry.
Yeah, see, we kind of, in our case, you were in the measurement business. And so when you talk about enhancing that guest stay, your definition of hospitality needs to be measurable. And we've actually been in situations where the based on the feedback, there were not enough pots and pans. So, you knew where to invest as long as you measured it.
Right. Right. Now, it's interesting because in the past experience that I've had, you have to be careful for if you're a supplier and you're selling, you have to be careful not to make those assumptions. Sometimes you're talking to a general manager thinking, okay, that's the person who's going to make the purchasing decision. Well, they'll definitely influence the purchasing decision, but there may be a owner operating company behind the scenes that controls the budget, and they're the ones that need to be convinced for that expenditure.
Particularly if they're a brand.
Right, exactly. Especially if they're a brand. And then, a lot of brands are also, obviously in the franchise model. So there, the brand doesn't necessarily cut the check, but they are the ones who absolutely influence the purchasing decision. So there are so many people out there that you really need to educate. And what we wanted to do is create this forum for those individuals to find out in a very easy manner, what are the latest innovations out there? What are the latest, companies that are out there that are doing this? And then have them get in touch with them. So really the control of that whole interaction is with our members. The members are the ones who reach out to the suppliers. Suppliers communicate the value proposition, and then the members reach out to them to actually, discuss the terms of a sale.
Didn't mean to interrupt you. Well, yes, I did mean to interrupt your presentation. Please proceed.
Sure. One of the other things that we get asked a lot about is, how is this different from all of the other information resources that are out there and so forth? And, there are quite a few industry resources out there for each one of the slices, that we talked about earlier, and they do a great job as information resources. However, they are focused primarily at that industry level. So regardless of which sector you're going after, if you go to, one of their websites, or if anyone's publishing, a magazine or a periodical, and you take a look at it, there is excellent information about overall industry statistics, who's expanding, who's contracting, who is the movers and shakers in the industry, who may be being promoted, who's retiring, and so forth. So really good, when you're talking about hotels, what are the ADRs and so forth, lots of good statistics at that level. If you are making a purchasing decision, a lot of times you have to really hunt for the information within those documents. So they're great, and highly encourage people to subscribe to those. But what we saw is a need to really focus on the supplier offerings and highlight those suppliers to the properties. And that's basically what we do. So our membership model is anyone can become a member for free. And we encourage as many people, if you're in a procurement organization for a brand, we welcome you to become a member. You may find suppliers that you might want to bring into your program, and that's okay with us. On the supplier side, we offer extremely reasonable rates. So our business model is based on the suppliers picking up a subscription, and also picking up some of the add-on features that we offer as well. And we went out there, took a look at, what people were offering, what the average going rate was, and we significantly undercut that. We are a startup, so we do want to, take that into account. But we also think that, we can offer something extremely valuable. So just to give you an example, for what somebody would pay for a typical banner ad, they could have our services for an entire year.
So in my world, as both the owner of a company,
Mhm.
the EVP of marketing, and the EVP of sales, which really those last two, really, that's all they really let me do. where does a program like this give me a greater opportunity to compete? Because that's really where it boils down to. And where am I going to put my money that's going to just, and there's no amount of influence, Rich, I could tell you, that would force a CEO, and I've seen it, tried, where a CEO will say to the customer experience professional inside an organization, use these guys. And there's always pushback and say, you know what, I've got my supplier. I'm happy with my supplier. I've got it tweaked up to exactly the way I need it. How do I bust through that noise? How do I get to that CX person and say, we're worth looking at? And a program like this, it seems like you're getting kind of a tacit good housekeeping seal of approval, because you do vet. I mean, I know you vetted me.
Yeah, so we vet the suppliers, obviously, just to make sure that it's a legitimate supplier and they do have something worthwhile to offer to our members. Ideally, we would love to be the go-to resource for anyone trying to find a supplier. To that extent, all of those suppliers are welcome. Even if you're a trade organization and you want to basically advertise, and say, hey, we exist, we want more members to sign up. The Inside Hospitality Solutions platform basically enables you to augment whatever marketing you're doing. So, if you're a supplier and you're taking out those, ads in the periodicals, you're doing the virtual trade shows, and I know, knock on wood, some live trade shows are trying to start up in a safe manner. We're not saying don't do those. You have to do what you feel is effective. But what does work from a marketing standpoint is basically getting that mind share of as many people in your target market as possible. So what we're saying is do what you're doing, but you can augment it in an extremely reasonably priced offering through our platform. And how you communicate that, once again, it's focusing in on your value proposition. So what we do is we'll have a number of different articles and we put article content. We keep it specifically short to read because we know people are extremely busy. So our membership group will get email headlines sent to them with different topics. They read the headline. If they want to read more, great. And the article itself, it's short, sweet, to the point, with the contact information of a supplier. So a typical article will outline, here is a challenge, and here's a solution that is offered to help you address that challenge. And if you want more information, here's where you go. So that's one of the offerings that we have there. The other offering is video content. We think that is extremely effective. So we do videos around, try to keep those once again around the 2-minute mark. They could be focused on a number of products and services from a number of suppliers, or they could be exclusive as well.
So what we should probably move on to your charity here in a second, but should I have on my website something that says member Inside Hospitality Solutions? Do I have that?
You know what? That's exactly what we want to get to, that point as well, where we have a basically an official Inside Hospitality, IHS for short, supplier that you can definitely put up on your website. As we build and grow this network, we just launched this month, and so far the response has been incredible. When you open up the doors to the store, you hope that people will come in. People have been coming in and people have been buying, which is fantastic for us. So, as we grow, we're expecting more and more, and we definitely want to do that type of seal of approval there. So, encourage everyone to go take a look at it. Our website is insidehs.com. We have our pricing there for the suppliers. And once again, anyone can become a member. We actually encourage any prospective suppliers, become a member, take a look, see what other suppliers are doing, and then help, let us help highlight you.
So then, if you don't mind, I'm going to let you skip over to your charity of choice. One of the things that that I do that is really, I believe, very important to be a good corporate citizen is to highlight your charity of choice. And as I was looking over Newbridge and their website,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking about all the chatter that's going on today, and really that's unfortunately all it is. But I think the awareness is important on mental health uh, in general, and particularly, does it start at home? Here in Indianapolis, a couple weeks ago, we had, as you may remember, an incident at a FedEx facility.
Mm.
And one of the things that came out of that was the shooter's mother alerted the police and alerted the FBI and said her son was dangerous. He is not stable, and I don't know what to do about it.
Right.
Had she had the kind of guidance that Newbridge might be able to have provided her, I don't know that the shooting would have been avoided, but at least it would have been another brick in the wall that would have, solidified the fact that she would have known what to do about that mental health.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No,
that
Bob,
kind of circles it, right?
you're touching on so many things. I mean, first of all, just with mental illness, there has been traditionally a stigma around mental health, mental illness, and so forth. And since getting involved with Newbridge, and I sit on their board as well, it's just an amazing organization. I've come to realize every single individual goes through a mental health issue at some point in their life.
Even me?
Yeah, even you. Let me give you an example. You're at the end of a school year, when, let's say you had, you're in college, you had a bunch of friends who maybe were a year older than you, they graduate, you go back to your dorm, you're feeling down, it's a normal feeling, you're feeling depressed. Well, that's part of mental health, and what you do if you have a headache, you take an aspirin, you take some rest. When you're not feeling mentally there are so many resources that are out there. Yes, there's medication, but there's also other things. Relationships are extremely important. Doing things like mindfulness is extremely important, and so forth. But I really have been encouraged over the last few years, seeing more and more people with celebrity status coming out and speaking about mental health and mental illness, because it's really something that the more and more we realize that, hey, this is something that happens, let's get it out in the open and deal with it, because there are ways to deal with it. Then that'll also help contribute to hopefully lessening some of the violence that we've seen, going on as well. Because more often than not, that could have hopefully been prevented in some fashion.
The Indianapolis Colts, I don't want to divert our attention too much from this, but I mean, as far as stigma is concerned, Indianapolis Colts have a big campaign today where they even feature one of their Pro Bowl players, and they talk about mental health and the stigma and stop the stigma.
Right.
This is very family oriented. This has to do with those issues inside, behind closed doors that create what specifically, or not even specifically, but what is it? What's the real issue? Is it mental health?
Well, there are so many factors that go into people's well-beings, and that's one of the reasons why I just absolutely love Newbridge's mission, the bringing balance to people's lives. And if you think about it, we all need some balance. We're living in these, through a pandemic where some people, haven't been outside, some people haven't interacted with other people all these times. And you really need to have a balance in your life to be healthy, mentally, physically, spiritually, and so forth. So Newbridge, what they bring to the table is, they do it through counseling, they do it through housing as well, and they do it through education. They have an absolutely incredible program that allows people who have not completed a high school degree. So they take young people who, for whatever reason, it could have been a health issue, it could have been a family issue, regardless, they want to go back, they realize the benefit, so Newbridge helps them get that degree and then actually throws a graduation for them, which is an incredible experience. So it is an organization I hope people can help support. It's definitely worthwhile.
Well, you'll see $50 coming through from me. I promise you that. Time being what it was, I was meant to do it this morning before this call, but I couldn't get it done. So, way to go, Rich. I think that's we all have to give. If we want to receive, we need to give, and I am such a believer, and I'm glad. When I asked the question, I think this is like my 10th video podcast, and I've asked the question 10 times, do you have a charity of choice? Without exception, everybody has said, oh yeah. And we were able to talk about it.
You have to, it's part of, in a way, it's almost selfish, because giving, you actually get back, by doing that. By doing good acts, to other people, you're going to get that back multiplied. So it goes back to the whole part of, it's actually mentally healthy to get involved with nonprofit and charity. So hats off to you, Bob, for making that a feature of these sessions, and also for doing that, personally.
Karma is real, isn't it, dude?
Yep.
Karma is very real. Well, listen, Rich Paliwoda, thank you very, very much for your time and your explanation. And I know that as my days go on, I will probably be placing more and more focus on inside hospitality to make certain that I do get that opportunity to compete. And the other reason that I know it will work is because you and Yuri really enjoy just this tremendous reputation inside our hospitality industry. You probably the hotels, and Yuri in the timeshare resort industry. And those are both markets that we serve. So it's a pleasure to be a part of what you're doing. And I'm looking forward to using it to make money.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for your support.
Rich, it's been really cool, man. I can't thank you enough.
Likewise. Thanks again.